Hi guys. All right, so let's go over this quiz. So this will give you guys a chance to fix the problems that you missed and then get ready for a retake. The retake will not be the same exact quiz. It'll be similar though. Excuse me. All right, so in the graph shown below, if lines L1 and L2 are parallel, there's our key word. These lines are parallel. That means that their slopes are the same. So it doesn't matter which one's L1 and which one's L2. Their slopes are the same. So find the slope of one of them and that'll be the slope of the other. Their slopes are the same because they're parallel. So I'm going to take a look at this line because I see an exact point right here. And then the next exact point I see right here on the y-axis. And I'm going to count the rise over run. This is a decreasing slope from left to right, so I know that the slope is negative. So I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So -5 because going down is a negative move. And then to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the slope is -5/4. That's it. And this is the type of work that I needed to see on your paper. Either draw a picture of the graph, put down that they're the same slopes because they're parallel, and then what the slope is. So basically whatever I'm writing is what you should have been writing on paper. Number 2. What is the equation in slope-intercept form of the line parallel to y equals -x minus 1 that passes through the point with coordinates 3, -2? Okay, so again, the key word is parallel. Lines that are parallel have the same slopes. So they gave us this line. Now this is not the line we're trying to find, but it's parallel to this line. So what does that tell me? It tells me that they have the same slope. So I could take the slope from this line and use it for the other line because they're parallel. So from that, I'm getting that m equals -1. That's the number in front of the x. That's the slope because y equals mx plus b. M is the slope. This is the equation of a line, and it passes through this point. So you have to use point-slope form. You learned that in, I think it was 17, one of the activity 17s. Well, you didn't learn it. You learned it back in Math 1 and even in Math 8, but you hadn't used it again until like a couple weeks ago. So point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where the only things that you need to switch out are the y1, the m, and the x1. M is the slope. Your x1, y1 come from the point that they give you, hence point-slope form. Okay, so when we write this, it'll be y minus the y1 is a -2 equals m is -1 times x minus the x1 is a 3. Okay, I have a double negative here. I'm going to switch it to a positive, so that'll be y plus 2 equals, I'm going to go ahead and distribute that -1, so that would be a -1x plus 3. And I need to put it in slope-intercept form because it says y equals. So I need to solve for y. So I have to subtract 2 from both sides, and I get y equals -x plus 1. And that's what I needed to type in there. -x plus 1. And all this work should be the work that I see on your paper. Number 3, R is the midpoint of segment PS. Q is the midpoint of segment RS. Okay. P is located at the point 2, 6. S is located at 10, -4. What are the coordinates of Q? So remember, a midpoint is in the middle. It is halfway between 2 points. So we have a formula for that. It's the midpoint formula. It's where you take the x values of 2 points, you add them and divide them in half. And then you take the y values of the 2 points, add them and divide them in half. And whatever that is the point for the middle, the midpoint. So let's first find the coordinate of R. We have P and S. P is 2, 6. S is 10, negative 4. So there's my x1, y1, x2, y2. So for point R, the midpoint would be 2 plus 10 divided in half. Those are the x values divided in half. The y values are 6 and a negative 4. Divide that in half. So then R is going to be the coordinate. 10 plus 2 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 plus a negative 4 is a 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So the coordinate of R is 6, 1. Okay. Well, now that I know R, I have R and S, and I can find the midpoint between those 2 points, and that would be point Q. So I'm going to write down S so that it's side by side. And now I need to find the midpoint Q. So I got to add up the X's. So a 6 plus 10 is 16. 16 divided by 2 is an 8. And then the Y's, 1 plus a negative 4 is negative 3. Negative 3 divided in half, well, as a decimal, that would be negative 1.5. So the answer was C, 8, negative 1.5. And all this work should be in the work that I saw on your paper. Number 4, determine if the 2 lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. If they're neither, that means that they're intersecting, but they're not parallel and not perpendicular. If necessary, convert each equation to slope-intercept form. So in the review, you had to convert to slope-intercept form. Here on this quiz, it was done for you. So all you had to determine is if they were parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Well, you got to look at the slopes. The slope of the first equation is a negative 5/2. The slope of the second equation is a positive 2/5. Well, they're not the same, so they're not parallel. Are they opposite reciprocals? Well, one's negative, one's positive, so they're opposites, but are they reciprocals? Well, 5/2 is the reciprocal of 2/5. So they are opposite reciprocals. So that means that they're perpendicular. Perpendicular lines. And there we go. Number 5, convert each equation to slope-intercept form, then determine if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So again, in the review, you had to convert it to slope-intercept form, but here it's already done for you. How cool is that? So all you have to do is look at the slopes again. In the first equation, the slope is a negative 7/4. In the second equation, the slope is a negative 4/5. They're not the same. They're not opposite reciprocals. So that means that they are neither. Lines A and B are neither parallel or perpendicular. There it is. Okay. Number 6 has 2 parts. The first part is line Q has a slope of 5/4. Another line R has a slope of 4/5. Lucas, you need to turn that down. Are lines Q and line R parallel or perpendicular? Well, one is 5/4, one is 4/5. Those are not the same. So it's not parallel. They're not opposite reciprocals. So that means it's not perpendicular. So that means it's neither. Part B, a line Q has a slope of 5. Line R is, Lucas, turn it down, is parallel to line Q. What is the slope of line R? So remember, lines that are parallel have the same slopes. Okay, so if line Q has a slope of 5 and it's parallel to line R, that means the slope of R must also be 5. That's it. You got to know those definitions. It's a know it or you don't type of situation here, guys. Number 7, Square ABCD has vertices at 2, 4, and 4, -6. What is the slope of BC? Okay, I'm going to try really hard to draw a graph here. It helps when you draw a picture. That was really bad. I'm going to erase that. I'm going to use a ruler. It's weird using a ruler on this tablet thingy, but I'm going to. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. Oh, it works. Okay, so 2, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's point A. And then 4, -6. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's point B. So I'm going to try really hard to connect these. All right. Remember, ABCD is a square. So a square has 4 sides. All 4 sides are congruent. All 4 sides, they meet at a 90-degree angle. So if I go, so C is going to be somewhere over here. D is going to be somewhere over here. Okay, it's not perfect. But they want me to find the slope of BC. Well, because it's a square, side AB and BC are perpendicular to each other because that's what it means to meet at a 90-degree angle. So I have to find the slope of AB, find its opposite reciprocal, and then that's the slope of BC. So let's start by using the slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. A is my x1, y1. B is my x2, y2. Okay, so I'm going to switch colors. So we'll have -6 minus 4 all over 4 minus 2. So that's -10 over 2. We do reduce this, so it'll be a -5. Okay, so what is the opposite reciprocal of -5? You can make any number a fraction by putting it over 1. Its opposite reciprocal, so opposite reciprocal is going to be, well, the opposite of negative is a positive, and the reciprocal of 5 over 1 is 1/5. So the slope of BC must be 1/5. Now, I noticed a lot of you guys did not do the review, and that means you did not watch my video going over the review, so it makes sense why a lot of you guys really tanked this quiz. That and a lot of you are really behind on your assignments. Got to get caught up, guys. All right, number 8. Point R lies on the directed line segment from L to M and partitions the segment in the ratio 1 to 7. What are the coordinates of R? Okay, so if this is my ratio, 1 plus 7 is 8. So the total number of parts is 8. You always take the first number out of the total, and that is our percentage, our fraction of the distance that we have to go. That's where point R is going to be. The next step is we have to take the slope, or find the slope between these 2 points. Remember, order matters because this is a directed line segment, so it has direction to it. So M equals y2 minus y1, so -1 minus 7 over x2 minus x1, so 12 minus a -4. -1 minus 7 is -8. And let's see, you have a double negative here. 12 plus 4 is 16. Now these ones do not reduce because we need it that way. All right, so I need my rise over run. I like to label them because it helps me figure out which one's which. Let's find the x coordinate. X comes from the run, which is 16. I have to take 1/8 of that, the percentage, and then add that to the y value of the starting point, which is a -4. What's nice about this is 8 goes into 16 twice. 2 times 1 is a 2. 2 minus 4 is -2. So my x coordinate of point R, coordinates, so I need parentheses, is a -2. Okay, for the run, oh, I need my tool again. Y, for the rise, I'm using y, is -8. I have to take 1/8 of that and then add that to the y value of my starting point, which is a 7. The 8's cross cancel, but negative times 1 is a -1. -1 plus 7 is 6. Lucas, you need to turn that down. or turn it off. All right, so the y value is a 6. And there it is. Negative 2, 6 is the coordinates of point R. Let me clear all this. And next. Number 9 says point P lies on the directed line segment from A to B and partitions the segment into the ratio 2 to 1. Okay, I always start with the ratio. So the total number of parts, 2 plus 1 is a 3, and you always take the first number out of the total, so it's 2/3 of the way. So it's almost all the way there. It only has a third left to go, and then it's there. All right, let's find the slope. So y2 is a negative 3 minus y1 is a positive 3. Over x2 is a 6 minus x1 is a negative 3. I have a double negative there in the denominator. Negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. Do not reduce. Okay, we have our rise. Ooh, that's really bright. Makes my eyes like, ooh. Rise over run. All right, so x has to do with the run. That's the horizontal movement. It's a 9. I have to take 2/3 of that and add it to the x value of my starting point, which is a negative 3. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 3 is 3. Let's find the y. It has to do with the rise. The rise is a negative 6, and I have to take 2/3 of that and add that to the y value of the starting point, which is a positive 3. 3 goes into 6 twice. Negative 2 times 2 is a negative 4. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. So 3, negative 1 are the coordinates of P. All right. Number 10. We have a picture of a graph this time, but it's another directed line segment question. On the directed line segment from R to S, on the coordinate plane above, what are the coordinates of the point that partitions the segment in the ratio 1 to 4? So the total number of parts is 1 plus 4, which is 5. It's always the first number out of the total, so it's 1/5 of the way. Okay, and from here, you can either write down what the coordinates of R and S are and find the slope with the formula, or you can count the rise over the run. So all the way down to here. So this is 2 above the x-axis, and this would be 4 below, so that's a total of down 6. I'm starting at a negative 7 and going all the way to a positive 8. So this is 7 plus 8, that's a total of 15. So my slope is a negative 6 over 15, down 6 over 15 to the right. So that's my rise over run. Wow, that's really bright. I need to switch. Let's go to something darker. So the x has to do with the run, which is a 15. And I have to take 1/5 of that and add that to the x value of the starting point. The starting point R is at the coordinate negative 7, positive 2. So the x coordinate is a negative 7. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 minus 7 is negative 4. So negative 4 goes in the first box there. All right, the y comes from the rise. That's our vertical move. I have to take 1/5 of that and then add that to the y value of the starting point, which was a 2. Let's see. I don't have anything I could cancel out, so this just becomes negative 6 over 5 plus, now I'm going to get a common denominator with that 2. I need it to be a 5, so I have to multiply top and bottom by 5, so that's 10/5. Negative 6 over 5 plus 10 over 5 is 4 over 5. 4 over 5, you can leave it 4/5, or you could have typed it in as a decimal. I'm just going to leave it 4/5. So 4 over 5. If you type it in as a decimal, it would be, I'm just using my calculator on my phone, 4 divided by 5 is 0.8. So 0.8 instead of the fraction 4/5, they're the same thing. So either or is fine by me. That's number 10. Number 11, now we're into the parabolas. The last few were parabolas. Find an equation in vertex form for the parabola with a focus 0, -3 and a directrix y equals -5. So I'm gonna plot my ruler again. It helps when you draw a picture. It's hard to guess where I'm at. Okay, so 0, -3. 1, 2, 3. That's my focus. And y equals -5. I'm all the way down there. That's my directrix. So remember, the vertex is smack dab in the middle. It's the midpoint between the focus and the directrix. So that means that the vertex must be right there. And that means that this parabola must be facing up because the focus is always inside the parabola. And that coordinate for the vertex would be 0, -4. And the p-value between the vertex and focus or vertex and directrix is just a +1. It's positive because it's facing up, and that's positive direction. Okay, so it's an upward facing parabola, so I'm using the y equals 1/4p times x minus h quantity squared plus k. Remember, the vertex is my hk, and I'm going to plug it in. Y equals 1/4 times the p-value is 1. 4 times 1 is a 4. And then x minus 0 quantity squared, and then the k is a -4, so -4. So when I clean that up and type in my answer, it'll just be y equals 1 divided by 4, scroll over, and x minus 0 is just x, so x quantity squared minus 4. Number 12, it says to use the definition of a parabola as the set of points in the xy plane that are the same distance from a point F called the focus and a line D called the directrix to find the equation of a parabola with focus 7, 5 and directrix x equals 13. So yeah, here we go. A lot of you guys, when it came to the homework assignment, you didn't show any work, and that's kind of impossible on these. Here. Okay. So 7, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is the focus. The directrix is x equals 13. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So x equals a number is a vertical line. So vertex is always in front of the directrix and surrounding the focus. So that means the vertex is in the middle between the focus and the directrix. So between 7 and 13, that's what, 6 units? Half of 6 is 3. 1, 2, 3. So my vertex must be here, 8, 9, 10. So that's at the coordinate 10, 5. That's my HK. Okay. And this parabola must be opening to the left because the parabola always surrounds the focus and the directrix is always behind the vertex. Okay, so it's a side to side, a right and left parabola. So that's x equals 1/4p times y minus k quantity squared plus h. I need to find the p-value, and that's the distance between the focus and vertex or vertex and directrix. And it's a distance of 1, 2, 3 units. But it's a -3 because opening to the left is a negative direction. Okay, so we have x equals 1/4 times -3 is a -12. So we're going to make sure to throw that negative out front, times y minus the k is a 5, quantity squared, plus the h is a 10. So that is what we're going to type in there. X equals -1 divided by 12, and then scroll over to get out of there. Times the quantity y minus 5, close the quantity and square it, plus 10. Okay. All that work is what I expect to see. You can't come up with these out of the air. Like it just doesn't happen. Number 13, which equation represents a parabola with a vertex of 5, 6 and a directrix of x equals 4? Again, I'm going to use my ruler on here. Sorry, I lost a little bit of control there. Okay, vertex 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's my vertex. And directrix x equals 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the directrix is right here. Okay, the directrix is always behind the vertex. So that tells me that this vertex must be opening to the right. So it's a side-to-side facing parabola. So it's x equals. So I can eliminate that option that says y equals because it's not it. And so it'll be x equals 1 over 4p times x, not x, sorry, times y, because the x is already out front, y minus k quantity squared plus h. Go away. All right, so the only thing I need is my p-value. Well, the p-value is the distance between the vertex and the directrix, and it's only a distance of 1 unit. And opening to the right is a positive direction, so it's a positive 1. All right, so x equals 1 over 4 times 1 is a 4 times y minus the k value is a 6, and then the h value is a 5. So 1/4 y minus 6 squared plus 5, which is letter A. It can't be B because that's a negative 1/4. That means it would be opening to the left, and so would D. D would also be opening to the left. Number 14, part A. What is the axis of symmetry of the parabola? So remember what an axis of symmetry is. When you have a parabola, it's that line that cuts the parabola in half. It's the symmetry line, the reflection line. But now that we're dealing with up and down parabolas and left and right opening parabolas, our axis of symmetry could be an x equals equation or a y equals equation. It depends on what we're given. So looking at what we're given here, we have x equals. So that tells me that this is opening side to side, left or right. This minus sign out front tells me that it's facing a negative direction. So it's opening to the left. Okay, so this parabola is opening to the left. Okay, and its vertex is at, this is the k, this is the h. So the vertex is at 4, -6, because remember, there's normally a minus sign in there, so if it changes to a plus, the number plugged in must be negative. Okay, so if we think about this, the axis of symmetry is not going to be a vertical line like it is over here, because that's an up or down parabola. This is a left or right parabola, and so it's going to divide it in half horizontally. So that has to do with the y value of the vertex. So it's y equals -6. Which is C. The graph of the parabola, now this is the same one, you kind of need to know which way it's opening in order to answer part A, but you definitely need to make sure that you answer correctly in part B. It's opening to the left because of that negative out front and because it says x equals, opening left. And that is everything. So let me clear the work and submit it, and they all should be 100%. Yep. And that's it. So your quiz or your retake quiz is going to be during class on, if your first period, it'll be on Thursday. If your second and fourth, it'll be on Friday. It'll be a different version, same number of questions, same type of questions, same type of problems on all of these. So there you go. All right. Make sure that you've taken your notes and that you upload pictures of your notes under this Ed Puzzle assignment. All right, you guys, have a great day.